In northern Colorado, there was a quiet neighborhood called Pinewood Cresta, peaceful place where nothing strange ever happened. Until the night Rachel Parker moved into house no. 17. It was supposed to be her new beginning, a fresh start after a stressful breakup and a new remote job. The house was beautiful, 2 floors, a garden, and a basement she never planned to use. The realtor handed her the keys with a warm smile, but just before leaving, she paused. "If you hear knocking at night," she said, her smile fading, "don't open the basement door." Rachel laughed it off, but the realtor didn't. That first night, Rachel unpacked boxers until midnight, exhausted. She finally climbed into bed, ready for sleep. That's when she heard it, a soft knock echoing from downstairs. Knock! 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 It wasn't from the front door, not from any window. It was coming from the basement. Rachel froze, her heart starting to race. She grabbed her phone, turned on the flashlight, and crept downstairs. The basement door stood at the end of the hallway. Its white paint was peeling, the old handle covered in rust. Another knock. Louder this time. Knock. 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 Rachel's voice trembled as she whispered, "Hello? Is anyone there?" Complete silence. And then a woman's voice. Soft. Broken. "Let me out." Rachel jumped backward, a gasp escaping her lips. She didn't wait for another sound. She sprinted back to her room, slammed the door, and spent the rest of the night wide awake, staring at the ceiling. The next morning, sunlight streamed through her window, and she tried to convince herself it was all just a vivid, stress-induced dream. But as she passed the basement door on her way to the kitchen, she heard it again, a faint, chilling whisper. "Rachel!" She froze solid. How could it know her name? No one knew her name. Panicked, she ran outside and found her neighbor, an older woman named Mrs. Grant, watering her flowers. Rachel asked her about the house. Mrs. Grant's friendly face went pale. "Oh dear, no one told you," she said, lowering her voice. "A woman went missing in that house years ago. The police searched everywhere, except the basement." Rachel's blood ran cold. "Why not?" she asked. Mrs. Grant leaned in closer and whispered, "Because the door wouldn't open. Not for anyone. Not even with tools." They said it was locked from the inside. Rachel tried to sleep early that night, pulling the covers up to her chin, but sleep wouldn't come. At exactly 2:31 a.m., the knocking returned. But this time it was slower, more deliberate. Tap, tap. A strange mix of fear and determination pushed her out of bed. She had to know what was happening. She gathered every ounce of courage she had and approached the basement door. Her hand shook uncontrollably as she reached for the cold, rusted knob. Suddenly something tapped back from the other side. 3 times. Right next to where her hand was hovering, she snatched her hand back and lowered her phone's flashlight, pointing the beam toward the small gap under the door. And that's when she saw it. An eye staring back at her. Wide, unblinking, bloodshot. Rachel screamed, a raw, terrified sound that filled the silent house. She scrambled backward, tripping over her own feet, and fled upstairs, locking herself in her bedroom. Then the voice came again, louder now, laced with a chilling desperation. "You moved into my home. You have to let me out." Rachel pressed her hands over her ears, trying to block out the sound, and cried silently until the first light of morning. Terrified and sleep-deprived, she called the police. 2 officers arrived, listened to her story with skeptical expressions, and went to inspect the house. They tried to open the basement door. They twisted the handle, pushed with their shoulders. No luck. "It's jammed solid, ma'am. Seems like it's blocked from the inside," one officer said, wiping his brow. Rachel begged them to break it down. "They got tools from their car." They hammered. They kicked. Nothing. The door didn't even budge. "It's like someone welded it shut." The other officer muttered in disbelief. As they prepared to leave, they told her, "If you hear anything else, call us immediately." Rachel nodded, but a deep dread settled in her stomach. She knew the police couldn't help her. This wasn't a normal situation. Whatever was in that basement wasn't playing by normal rules. That evening, as dusk settled over the house, Rachel noticed something strange. The curtains in her living room, they were moving. There was no breeze, no open window. She approached slowly, her heart pounding a frantic rhythm against her ribs. She pulled back the heavy fabric. Behind it, a message was written on the cool glass of the window, traced with a finger in the condensation. "Let me out." She frantically wiped it away with the sleeve of her sweater, her breath coming in short, panicked gasps. A second later, the message reappeared, but this time, the letters were fresh and dripping with something wet, something red. Rachel stumbled backward, her hand flying to her mouth to stifle a scream. At exactly 3 a.m., Rachel was jolted awake by a loud, metallic sound. See. Echoed through the house. Clang. She sat bolt upright, realizing with a wave of pure horror what that sound was. The basement door was unlocking itself. Slowly. Click. Click. The final lock gave way with a groan. Adrenaline surged through her. Grabbing her phone, she ran to the top of the stairs and peered down the hallway. The basement door was creaking open and darkness spilled out from it like a thick, black fog. A woman's silhouette stood in the doorway, bent, impossibly thin. Her long hair hung down like damp seaweed. Her skin, even in the dim light, looked gray and cracked. The woman whispered, her voice a dry rattle. "Thank you for letting me out." Rachel stumbled back, her heart feeling like it was going to explode. The woman began to crawl out of the basement, her limbs twisting at unnatural angles, as if she hadn't walked in years. "Who are you?" Rachel cried, her voice barely a whisper. The woman tilted her head, a sickening crack echoing in the silent hall. "I lived here first. You're a realtor. He locked me inside. He said I was sick." Rachel shook her head in disbelief. "No, that's not possible. You're not alive. What are you?" The woman's lips pulled back into a painful, grotesque smile. "I stayed too long without sunlight. My body died, but I didn't." She took a shuffling step closer, her joints cracking with every movement. "And now I need a new place to stay." Pure instinct took over. Rachel turned and bolted for the front door. But something yanked her hair, pulling her backward with shocking force. She hit the floor hard. The woman's chillin' whisper was right in her ear. "Dante, leave me again." Rachel kicked out wildly, her foot connecting with something solid. She scrambled free, grabbed the heavy base of a fallen lamp, and swung it with all her might, smashing it across the woman's face. The woman's head twisted completely around, facing backward, and then snapped back into place with another horrifying crack. She let out a low growl and crawled toward Rachel at an impossible speed. Rachel screamed and sprinted to the back of the house, threw open the door to the yard, vaulted the fence, and ran into her neighbor's yard, banging on the door and screaming for help. Mrs. Grant opened the door, her face a mask of shock. Rachel collapsed inside, sobbing uncontrollably. From the safety of her neighbor's doorway, she looked back. The woman from the basement stood at the edge of the lawn, just watching. Then she slowly turned, walked back into house No. 17, and closed the front door behind her. 1 week later, the police had searched the house from top to bottom. They found no woman, no evidence of a struggle, and the basement door, it was gone. The wall was smooth and solid, as if a door had never been there at all. They found only one thing. Scrawled on Rachel's bedroom mirror in what looked like lipstick were 3 words. I'll find you soon. Rachel moved to another state, thousands of miles away, trying to escape the memory. But some things follow you. Every night, at exactly 2:31 a.m., she hears a faint knock on her new apartment wall. Knock, 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 followed by a familiar, chilling whisper that drifts through the drywall. "Let me out."